If you recall, a couple of years ago, there was a skydiver by the name of Felix Baumgartner who broke a couple records for the highest vertical speed and longest freefall distance. That was about 10 years ago. Wow, time really flies. It felt like that was 3 years ago? It's true that time speeds up when you get older. Anyway, I found this flat earther who has a problem 9 years later with something Neil deGrasse Tyson said about the jump. Let's have a look, shall we?
Grifters be griftin'. You ever think about Neil deGrasse Tyson when he came out? Remember back during the Felix Baumgartner jump? This was, I think it was 2012. He came out and he did what's called damage control, or getting ahead. In politics, they call it getting ahead of a story. He knew that everybody saw that footage and that there was two different cameras. There was the camera when they opened up the hatch door and you could see a flat horizon. It wasn't a GoPro or a fisheye lens, right? There were the cameras on the outside that showed a ball Earth. So it was so obvious that he came out and he said this.
And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump.
The event was promoted a lot as being edge of space or jump from space. That's really just an attention grabber, as Neil deGrasse Tyson pointed out. While the border between Earth and space hasn't really been exactly established, scientists would usually put it much higher up than the average person would. I think the most commonly agreed altitude is about 100 kilometers. Felix jumped from 39 kilometers up, which is about 24 miles for you weird people. A little less than a space jump it seems, but we'll keep calling it that because it sounds cooler than 2/5 of the height of a space jump.
Now, I don't, it's fine. He wants to, I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, wow, he's in space, look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
I love this guy. It's true, with such an insignificant height, you shouldn't be able to see the curvature. And if you can't see the curvature at that height, good luck seeing it when you're on the surface of the Earth. One thing that flat earthers need to understand is how massive the Earth is. It's so incredibly big, you really have to reach an incredible altitude to see even a hint of curvature. And just to be clear, when I say curvature here, I mean curvature horizontally. You can still technically see the curvature by watching a boat sail over the horizon, of course. Now, that being said, I don't know exactly at what height you'll be able to clearly see the curvature, but it most definitely is not 39 kilometers up.
So that was back in 2012, because he knew flat earthers were on it. We were exposing it, right? All of that stuff. So then you have 2021, and you've got them going up in this free fall, right? This vomit comet for rich people. They go up 63 miles, he says. And what's funny is, back during the Baumgartner jump, this is just a side thing, he said 2 millimeters above, and that was 25 miles up. Now they're claiming to go 63 miles up, and he's still saying 2 millimeters above the ball, the schoolroom globe.
Oh, by the way, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you. Do you know how high up above the Earth he was?
No,
so if you take a
63 miles.
Well, yeah, say right. So take a schoolroom globe, and that's how high above it is he? So he's about 2 millimeters above the surface of a schoolroom globe. So nobody has seen the curvature of the Earth from that height. I just want to make that clear.
You got to update that, Neil. It's closer to 4 to 5 millimeters now, okay?
The Virgin Galactic Unity did indeed go higher than 39 kilometers. It went up to just above 85 kilometers. So yeah, sure, maybe Dr. Tyson could have updated his numbers, but it's hard to fault him for that because these statements were made nearly a decade apart from each other. He's more so trying to make a point rather than give exact scale conversions, because I doubt he's converting it to the exact millimeters. Regardless of what he said, the point still stands. They're not nearly high enough. And while 85 kilometers is definitely closer to the, quote, border of space, is it really enough to see the curvature? Well, I would like to clarify clarify what I said earlier, curvature can technically be seen anywhere, even if you're just on the surface of the Earth. The reason you normally can't is because you usually cannot get a good enough view with nothing obstructing anything. If you have a wide enough view in a clear enough sky, you'd be able to see it, although it would still be difficult to differentiate based off the naked eye alone. Going up higher would mean the curvature becomes more obvious, but that doesn't mean there's a specific height in which you can see the curve. The higher you go, it gradually becomes more obvious, so you can't define that height, just like how you can't define the single drop of water that causes a pool to overflow. Neil deGrasse Tyson is simplifying matters here because he knows he's talking to a general audience that doesn't know much science. The common person likely thinks, oh, at what specific height can you see the curve? At whatever height, you either see it or you don't, but that's actually not how it works. In addition, being able to see horizontal curvature itself is somewhat subjective. Easier if you had some sort of ruler in hand, but more difficult if you're just using your eyes alone. Now, the flat earther will definitely jump into the conversation here and claim that no curvature exists, but that's just silly. You can see the curvature if you look at footage from higher up, such as from the ISS, for example. I don't understand why you specifically chose these two instances instead of picking a time when a person actually went to space. It's ridiculous.
What they're doing now again, and Neil deGrasse is the spokesman, he's the front person for the damage control or getting ahead of a story. Like I said, in politics, that's what they call it. But this would be getting ahead of a narrative, right? Because, well, it is a story, but okay, so it's the same thing. He's getting ahead of a story. He's getting ahead of the narrative. So he knows that people went up like this Wally Funk, and she said, I couldn't see the world. I wanted to see the world. What that means is I wanted to see the spinning Earth. I wanted to see what they see from the ISS. I thought that's what I was going to see. Of course, the ISS is fake too. That's all fake footage.
So there you go. That's why the flat earther won't pull up footage from the ISS, because he thinks it's fake. I just don't understand how you can easily say one footage is fake but another is real. How can you even confidently say the space jump happened? Let's compare the two. On one hand, Felix is one person. On the other hand, about 250 different people have went to the ISS. We also have infinitely more footage from the ISS, and they even do live streams of it sailing over the curvature of the Earth. In what universe would anyone believe the ISS is fake, but the space jump is real? This is a clear example of cherry-picking information. Oh, there's evidence of the Earth's curvature? Fake.
Neil deGrasse says you can't see curvature from 63 miles up, right? So again, this is damage control. He's getting ahead of it because these are civilians, right, going up in these flights, and they're seeing a flat horizon.
Wally Funk said, I wanted to see the world, but we weren't quite high enough. First of all, that doesn't mean she wanted to see the curvature. Absolutely not. That literally just meant she wanted to see more of the Earth. Second of all, she even said herself, we weren't quite high enough, so you just kind of debunked yourself. Third of all, astronauts going to the ISS are also civilians. Everyone's a civilian here. Literally every scientist out there agrees the Earth is not flat. Are all 8.8 million scientists from every country around the world all paid shills of NASA and aren't, quote, civilians? What a ridiculous claim.
Flat earthers have put up tons of balloon footage showing a flat horizon, so they know it looks flat. So again, he's just trying to control the narrative, get ahead of the story.
Obviously, flat earth balloons are also not going to reach an altitude where you can significantly see the curvature. That's just so silly. Like, we live on this massive Earth that's 40,000 kilometers in circumference, and you think you'd be able to see the curvature with a hot air balloon. Incredible.
They're just getting ahead of a story. They're getting ahead of the narrative.
I still see no benefit of why people would go out of their way to push a fake narrative as you claim. There's no way all these people, every scientific organization from all different countries in the world could possibly be shills without this being leaked in one way or another. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, the ISS is 408 kilometers high, which is why you are able to see the curvature clearly from there. That's more than 10 times the height that Felix jumped from and almost 5 times the height of the Unity spacecraft. If we're going to call anything going to space, the ISS fits the bill pretty well. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Huge thank you to Fireshard, Alan Morton, and Miss Fixit for their generous support on Patreon. Bye-bye.